Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hey, friend, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. Oh, it's just so good. This is such a fun and fabulous week. We are right in the middle of the Say Yes Summit. The theme is expansion, and oh my goodness, do I love me some expansive conversations. And the fact that I had just 3 hours of beautiful conversation with 4 fabulous former podcast guests, plus our participants asking amazing questions and just getting to hear the insight and input from these fantastic women. It's just been so great. And we've got more this afternoon. So even if you didn't know about it, this is the first time you're hearing and you are having FOMO, you can sign up right now. The link is in the show notes and you will get the replay from yesterday and you can be live on today's call. It's just so good. And if this is just not the right timing for you, it's okay because you've got another opportunity in August. We have our next Say Yes Summit in August, and that theme is freedom. And we have a fantastic lineup for that one as well. I just love this podcast so much. I'm so appreciative of you and the time that you take out of your very busy schedules to listen and comment and send me love notes. It's just water and sunshine to this little plant, and I thank you for it. I've grown so much in this process, and I love seeing all of the goodness that is coming out of this podcast besides my own personal expansion. But we've got the summits, we have the Say Yes Sisterhood. It's just so delicious, and I can't wait to find out what's going to be next, which is so good. So today's conversation was wonderful, and I'm going to apologize right now because I am not going to pronounce her beautiful name as effortlessly as she does. But today we have Nejat Abdurahman, and she is a keynote speaker, the author of The Art of Managing Up, and the founder of NBAC, a business advisory and consulting firm that helps organizations and leaders transform the way they lead for sustainable impact. She is a continuous learner. She loves to spark passion for learning and help people unlock their potential. Nejat earned her MBA from Eisenberg School of Management, UMass Amherst, and her BA degree in economics from Addis Ababa University. I hope you will enjoy this lovely conversation with Nejat. Nejat, I am so delighted to have you here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Likewise, I'm very excited to have this conversation with you.
It's so fun that this is a part of another day at the office for us.
I love it.
Isn't it great? I love being the deliberate creator of your own experience is just as dreamy as it sounds.
Exactly. You get to just say, this is what I'm going to do. Can I really do what I love? And you let that happen. And here we are having this beautiful conversation, working from home, remotely from where we want to be, and just being ourselves. And that's our work.
It's so good. And we get to wear whatever shoes we want while we're doing it. I mentioned before we hit record, listener, I am wearing my shoes that are excellent for sitting. So I I love owning them. I'm not ready to part ways with them, even though I'm a flower farmer in New England now. And these shoes are not really appropriate for anything that I do on the day to day, except for recording a podcast interview or going out to dinner where I can drop my car at valet because they can't walk very far in these. So that's how I'm saying yes to myself today. How are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
I love that you're saying say to yourself by that. So similar to me, I'm saying yes actually to myself by truly loving myself and being willing to receive.
Mm,
For so many years, I'm a giver. I always thinking about, okay, how can I make an impact? How can I, whatever I do, am I creating an impact? Am I helping people? And really thinking about the people that I hadn't really thought about pausing and saying, okay, I can also receive. And so I'm saying, say yes to myself by doing just that.
oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. And it's such a mindset shift because I don't, the way that we're raised and in a society that isn't mad by having women overgive,
Yeah.
having anybody overgive. Nobody's mad about that. And we think that that is a part of our purpose. I mean, so many women will say, well, I'm the provider, I'm the nurturer. And it's like, those are actually masculine qualities. Like the masculine has the structure of the glass, the feminine is the water. You definitely need both. Otherwise, you've got a big mess on your floor. But
Mhm.
there is so much in the receiving is the feminine role. And I think our society has assigned giving
Yeah.
as a feminine responsibility.
Yeah.
And so much so that I remember I used to, before I was practicing receivership like you, I helped myself believe that giving was how I received.
Yeah. And we struggle a lot with this. I personally struggled a lot with this because we are giving and we enjoy giving.
Totally.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a tangible thing, giving, but nurturing, right? Or even thinking about other people, caring about them so much. And that's all great, right? We don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with giving, but the question is, are you also doing the same to yourself? Or are you taking yourself out of that equation?
Right. It's like if you were only exhaling, if you were only giving, but you were never inhaling to receive, we need both to survive.
Exactly. And so to the extent that I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna prioritize other people. I'm gonna prioritize other people. If there's something. And then interesting actually, I forgot where I read this, but I read somewhere where if you're thinking about whatever it is that you're thinking about and you're like, oh, I'm gonna prioritize, maybe someone else needs it more. No, it's okay. I don't have to charge this much. No, it's okay. I give it to them. You're actually, to my surprise, you have a limited mindset of like you're not thinking in abundance because if there's abundance for all.
Right.
And for them too, you don't really have to deprive yourself to give to others because you know what? There's abundance of that.
Yes, yes, I love that. And I love that analogy because I think, even as I'm starting my small business and shifting the direction that I'm always course correcting. I'm building the engine while flying the plane, as they say. So, sometimes you think, well, should this be free or should I charge for it? Well, I don't want to charge because I don't, if people can't afford it. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm co signing lack in them, or I'm saying, I don't think you can really do this.
Yeah.
And instead, I'm now making opportunities like, yes, I would love for you to come on one of my culinary retreats to Paris. And it's $10,000 plus. because that's just how much it costs. And so this up level of my belief in myself, but also my belief in my client,
Yeah,
that the yes that they're saying to themselves is for them. And we know that there's not transformation without a transaction.
exactly. Yeah, there's no transformation with that. So with that entire, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna say yes to receive. I'm gonna say yes to give to other people, but at the same time, I'm gonna say yes to myself as well. And just, say yes to opportunities that might frighten me. I'm like, oh, can I do this? No, just say yes and do it. Just trust the process. So that's really been amazing.
I love that for you. And how is that playing out in practical ways? Because I've noticed, if I was nervous, for example, the first time I did an Instagram live, I was very nervous and first I kept recording it and doing it over, and I don't wear makeup, so I didn't like how I look, all the things. It was so silly. And then I finally did it and it was very fun. And
Yay.
then realized, oh, I have to do this again tomorrow. So it's like the longer you put it off, you have to do it again. So it doesn't matter if you're doing something messy, you're doing it to get practice. And I feel like the only person that's expecting perfection is us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, perfectionism it can hold us back so much that I think what we think is, okay, if I'm gonna give it, if I'm gonna do an Instagram live, or if I'm gonna write a book for myself, or if I'm gonna do this, it's gonna have to be perfect, whatever product I have. And it's actually, I think, fear hidden or disguised as perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the thing that really helped me so much was I am very proud to be a learner. I'm always a student. I'm always growing. Okay. I'm never perfect. Learning never stops. That's something I'm very passionate about. And then I said, you know what? If you don't put it out there, then how are you going to learn? And I read something that was actually very encouraging. And again, I forgot who said it. I can read all those things. So credit to whoever said it. But if you don't look back and you're not ashamed of the first product that you have, it
Mm.
means that you haven't grown.
Mm.
So the first is always going to be the first. I think the reward you get from putting it out is the bravery that I'm going to put it out there.
Right.
And then that would give you feedback. You're like, oh, okay, I can do it. And then let me do it again. Let me do it again. And then you are learning and growing so that your next will be better. The next will be better. You're always in this journey of like, okay, am I growing? Am I improving? So if I did this today, the first one, and then by the time you're the 10th, you've perfected it in such a way. Not there's no perfection, but at least you've improved it, make it better. And that's the evolving and growing. Versus if we are too afraid to put it out there, guess what? Nothing happens.
Right. Right. And I feel like our clients are drawn to us because they see something in themselves in us. And so they're drawn to that. Nobody wants perfection. It's the character we like least in any movie is the person that is portrayed as being perfect right from the beginning. It's like, oh, we don't like her. We like the girl who dropped her handbag off the subway and like all the things like that happened to her, like, oh my gosh, you poor thing, you have to win, I want you to win. So
Yeah.
it's actually it's more of a connector than our limited mind lets us think it's going to be. We think that perfection is what people are looking for, and perfectionism is a trauma response. We don't need that.
It absolutely is, and it's just something that we say we're perfectionists because it's just fear inside of just, oh, what are people gonna say? But I think we have to learn to be comfortable in that uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
Like, okay, people may judge me, but like you said, people actually relate to people who put themselves out there, are vulnerable, and yeah, you make a mistake, you always learn and grow. I love what you said when we started this conversation, where you're like you're flying a plane, and
Building the engine while flying the plane.
that's such a good analogy for everything that we do, right? Like we're just
Right.
trying and growing. So I love
Yeah.
that it is like, and honestly, if we're perfectionists, we can't really get anything out. And it will never be perfect, by the way, even the one that we think, okay, this is like perfect. Now there's striving for excellence, right?
Sure.
Doing the best you can, and then you're like, you have to know when to say, okay, this is it for now. And it can always, there will always be part two of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, like we said, it's an invitation and it's a permission slip to whomever we're calling in as a client, as a podcast listener. Nobody's listening to this podcast because they think I'm Albert Einstein. I mean, they're listening to this podcast because I'm so here for it, and I'm so elated and delighted at this opportunity. And because of that, I'm attracting these amazing women who are up to amazing things that I get to have an amazing conversation with. And we're calling that a day at the office. And it's just so much goodness. That's the attraction value. That's the being present, being aware of this is something that feels good in my body to be doing.
Yeah.
And I'm sharing that and sharing that enthusiasm and that passion and that invitation for anyone listening to do what feels good to them and to say yes to themselves and to normalize this. I mentioned earlier about my Paris trips, and often women will say, oh, I'm going on the next one, or one of your trips is on my bucket list. And I think, like, that's so sweet. Like, I love that you want to go there with me. I would like to normalize how often we're going there. Like, this is not a once in a lifetime situation. This is just what we're doing in September. And then we're doing it again in December. And then we're doing it again the following May. And it's just something that we do. And I think that we can be so committed to our limitations that we create a story that convinces us, but it doesn't land on my ears the way that it is falling out of my beautiful potential client's mouth, because I believe that the desire to do something is the proof that it will work. That if these dreams are in us, it's because these dreams are for us. And I believe in God, and I believe that he's not going to give me these great ideas and then not give me everything I need to execute the great idea.
Yeah. It's if you can dream it, you can have it, right? It's
Yes.
that if you can dream it, then it's going to happen. The question is, are you allowing it to happen? Are you saying yes? And I think that's like different for different people. In your opinion, and this is like a question that maybe like, what do you think prevents people from saying yes to that dream or whatever it is that they
Want to do or have in their heart? Yeah, thank you. I love this question. You're so sweet. Thank you for interviewing me. Um, I think that when you are not in the practice of holding space for yourself, you don't feel safe dreaming. And I think that there's something that happens about dreams that are in our hearts that we feel like if we say them out loud, somebody else will crush them. And what actually happens, and what I do for my farm stays, and I host solo retreats here that are just a safe space to dream. Because what actually happens when you let that out of your mouth in a safe, beautiful environment, it
Yeah.
grows. Thoughts grow as they're shared. And when you come here, whether it's for a farm stay, a solo retreat, whether we're in France together, I'm wanting to get water and sunshine on the dreams that are in the hearts of the women that are listening to this podcast and listening to my voice wherever they hear it, that it is safe for you to dream, and I'm going to hold the space for it. So I think it feels uncomfortable and unfamiliar. And I think we also, I'm just speak for myself. I used to think that I could not utter my dream because I did not know how I was going to make that happen. And there are many concepts in spiritual and personal development circles that I have to hear a few times before I can implement them. Like these concepts of being the vibrational match of what we're asking for, the fact that we're the ones that are keeping us from our dreams by not allowing them, and all of those things. I have to hear that a lot to like really wrap my mind around it. But there are some concepts that I only have to hear one time. And a mentor of mine, Gina DeVee, said, the how is not my responsibility. And I don't think that's her phrase. She just said it and I wrote it on a sticky note. And that
Yeah.
became like, oh, phew,
I love
amazing. Okay, good. Because I can dream all day long. Like, I'm all about let's talk to the architect,
Yeah.
but not talk to the general contractor because they're all about the limitations and the costs of materials and all that stuff. I'm in dream state over here. I don't have
Yeah.
to figure out how before I can start creating visually in my mind and in my heart what that is. Also, I think that, a lot of the teachings that I've been listening to, Abraham Hicks, and talking about the law of attraction and how the things we want are because we believe we will feel better in the having of them. And so, if we can focus on the emotion associated with our dream. So,
Yeah.
for example, I desire to have beautiful property in France, a chateau. And I want that chateau because it's beautiful and it's fun and it's expansive and there's a ton of guest rooms and there's a long table and I can invite women to come and we can do retreats and we can do photo shoots and we can have movies and dinners and community events and like all of these things. Like I feel elated and inspired and creative and safe and at ease and expansive when I think about that thing. And so
Yeah.
if I can focus on other opportunities where I feel all of those feelings, that's what it means to be the vibrational match of the thing that I want. And then that channel of delivery is cleared up. So that's how we can allow it. When we keep shutting it down by lobbying for our limitations, that's what helps us.
I love that. I love that. And I was gonna say, and I love that the fact that you say, okay, just think about what you want. Forget the how. The how is none of your business. You're not
Yep.
gonna understand how things are gonna come. It's kind of like similar to me because honestly, the last 5 years, COVID was like a big shift in my life. In a sense, it like really shook me. Nothing I've
Same.
ever been shaken to my core like that. And I think what happened to me was, in addition to everything that happened to everyone, of course, was like, wow, this could have been the end of it all. I was like, this could have been the end of it all. And if it was the end of it all, what would I have regretted not doing?
Mm.
And then I listed some things. Okay, I would have hated to die before doing this and this and this and this. And I listed those things and I got clarity and I said, you know what? I'm not gonna wait for anything. And it's funny because like the exploration of like, okay, what do I want is actually something that we need a lot of clarity on. So I had like a big whiteboard at home and I cleared that out and I wrote just one word, one sentence, and that is what want. And I had that for almost a year. And so what happens was every time I look at that, okay, I'm reminded, okay, what is it that you're aiming for? Where is it that you're going, right? What is it that you want? And sometimes I found that really helpful because sometimes we're also thinking, we think we're thinking about what we want, but we're thinking about what we don't want.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, like, let's say you're in a situation and it's not like what you wanted. And so that question kind of like directs your attention from what is to like, okay, what is it that you want?
Right.
Because sometimes we think about the actual situation or what wasn't or what happened, but just ignore what happened, ignore what's happening. What exactly is it that you want, right? So you have that vision. And honestly, it's after COVID, end of 2020, that I quit my full-time job that I've worked with that company for almost 9 years. And I loved doing the work that I was doing there. I was a trainer. But then I decided, you know what? I do want to start my own business. And I just quit my job and did the jump. And I did skydiving at that point. And I was like, okay, starting your own business is like skydiving.
It is.
I'm gonna take the plunge and I hope, I'll enjoy the view, but there's also a lot of uncertainty, the rush that you get, the ups and downs. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna try to make it work. There's always the I think the joy of just go for it
Yeah.
and then just see. If it doesn't work out, there's always other. It's not the end of the world, you know?
Right.
Well, give the dreams or whatever it is that you have, give it a chance, see how it goes, and then there's always you can figure things out.
Right. We're constantly course correcting, and we're allowed. I think, and I don't want to speak for women globally, I'm going to speak for myself. I did not think that I was allowed to make a mistake. Like, if I'm going to do this thing that nobody thinks is a good idea, and I say nobody in air quotes, my ex-husband did not, was not, that was not in his heart. My dream business was not his dream. And so I thought that my first attempt at anything had to make $100,000, even though it was a flower arranging course in my barn, like it had to be wildly successful, that, we have to make one post and break the internet. We have to sell out. We're looking at other people's LMNOP and we're at ABC. Like we can't compare.
Yeah.
We can be inspired. Please be inspired. Look at what other people are doing in the sense of, oh my gosh, thank you for showing me what's available.
Yeah.
Don't look at it and saying, ah, well, why does she get to do that? And that's not fair. And that was my idea. And blah. That is just like you said, it's focusing more on the lack, on what you don't want than on what you want. So
Yeah.
try it, see how it feels. Every failure is feedback. We're just
Yeah.
getting more information. Now, I try things all the time, so
Yeah.
many things. And we just see, like, oh, that was fun. I'm going to do it a little differently next time, or I'm not going to change a thing, or I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. Like when I personally see someone succeeding, I'm like, thank you for showing me that it is possible.
Totally.
Amazing. Like when you surround yourself with people who are succeeding and making it, that's absolutely great. It's like a good energy of like, okay, we're gonna support each other and get there. It means that it is possible. You can do it, right? You can learn
Right.
from their best practices.
Yes.
And you know what? There is a way, and each and every one of us are unique. When I first started the company, it's leadership development, by the way. So we train leaders of different companies. There's so many organizations that provide the same service, right?
Perfect. Proof of concept.
Exactly. There's so many organizations that do that. But I'm not starting this business, because this is something that's gonna make money or that's just a lot of demand. It's something that I was deeply passionate about.
And you're going to make lots of money.
Yeah. I'm deeply passionate about helping organizations transform the way they lead, create an impact, and doing so without, you know, without creating the bad environment for their employees.
Right.
You see companies making it and their employees are not appreciated, not
Right.
valued. You see individuals who are doing amazing as an individual contributor, but as a leader, they might be making numbers for the company, but the morale in the organization is really bad. So I like, this is something that I'm truly passionate about. I do believe that leaders can be great leaders, not only create great impact for the organization, but they can also be a great leader to their team so that everyone that goes and spends time 8 hours of their day at work doesn't have to dread going to work, and they don't have to say, it's Monday, oh, it's Friday, right? Why can't we just have like organizations that are thriving, but also the employees are enjoying what they're doing, right? So because that was my why wasn't, oh, I want to do business leadership development because I'm going to make money. Because see, that wouldn't have been my value, right?
Right.
That would be so draining.
Yeah.
But if you know your why, like why are you doing what you're doing and you're really passionate about that, even when you think, some things might not be, how do I say, maybe you're not thriving as much as you would like, at least you know the why.
Yeah.
You're going to try a different way.
Right. And you're going to keep at it.
You're
You're
going
not
to
going
keep
to
at it.
expect, I mean, they say that quote, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. Like you
Exactly.
have to do the work
Uh-huh.
and eventually, I mean, and eventually is, you can't really quantify the amount of time that
Yeah.
eventually is, but it doesn't ever come if you quit.
But you're going to be consistent. Yeah. And that's the difference between those who succeed and those who don't, is the one who didn't succeed, they quit. Now, different people have, of course, different needs. Maybe they
Totally. And that's an alignment for them. Amazing.
absolutely okay for anyone to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore and switch. That's fine.
If I meet some handsome French guy that already owns a chateau, I don't need to buy one.
Well, okay, maybe that is what is one of the
I
paths.
am unattached to how this happens. I just know that it will happen.
It will happen, and I'm sure it will. Then you'll find out, oh, this is how it happened. Okay.
That's right. Perfect. I love that I was available.
Exactly. In any way or form it comes, but it will come if you have that as a goal. So I love that.
I love your why. I love the work that you're doing. How are you seeing the impact in your clients? Just the overall, obviously, the measurable things, the productivity, but also the culture of the workplace.
So initially when I started leadership development, I was focusing more on like training leaders to be better leaders to their subordinates. But I had this course that I released, and one of that aspect was a concept of managing up.
Mm.
So usually when a leader, we focus a lot on how am I doing with my direct reports, right? But what happens is we see so many people, individuals, employees who are they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel valued, or maybe they don't feel compensated enough. And so through the different programming that I had, I came up with this idea and specific one that I was focusing on, which is managing up. Okay, so you can be a great leader to your team, but are you managing up? How is your relationship with your bosses and your bosses? Sometimes we're told, okay, work hard, add value to your company, to your organization. You're like, head down, I'm going to be hard work. And then you're expecting to be promoted. You have a meeting and they hire another person as a director instead of promoting. You're just like, what happened? I thought it was contributing.
Right.
So there's that frustration within companies. And what I did was, okay, how about if we train leaders and individuals how they can manage up so that we add value to the company, we add value to the boss, but also we add value to ourselves.
Mm.
That it's a complete win-win. So what we did was, okay, if you can learn and know what you're really good at, what you're excellent at, and instead of just accepting work that's given to you,
Mm-hmm.
you actually seek out work that aligns with that. And instead of just working hard, you make sure that the value that you're adding is also adding to the organization so that it's like a win-win for everyone and get you there. So this is for the individual, but what I'm doing at my company is we're actually training leaders on this so that they can create this culture of managing up. How do you ensure that all of your employees are all appreciated, that the value they're adding is recognized, and that it's appreciated and it's a win-win for everyone?
I love this concept, and I feel like it has a little bit of entrepreneurial spirit within a corporate environment, which I love. I think it's
Yeah.
brilliant. So how, let's say the listener has a corporate job
Mhm.
and they are doing the work head down and they're wanting to be appreciated, but they're having a hard time asking for what they want because if they're anything like me, I just wanted to do everything I was supposed to do so that you would give me the promotion. I didn't want to have to ask for the promotion. I just want it to be obvious. Like in the example that you said where they hire from outside because that person was gunning for the job. They were
Yeah.
showing up and showing themselves and making themselves known. So, how is the book encouraging an employee to be seen
Yeah.
in a way that is, obviously a bit of a stretch because we're all about growth and expansion, but is going to be effective as
Yeah.
well?
So I want to first comment about what you said. It's like kind of like infusing entrepreneurial mindset within the businesses. And that's exactly the goal of my idea is that if you look at companies right now, and actually I was looking at data for 2024, 2023, the number of people starting their own business is like really, really high.
Yep.
So for top companies, they're not losing their employees to another employer. They're actually losing their employees to entrepreneurship. Which,
Ah,
I mean, I love the fact that people are starting their
right.
yeah, like,
It's very inviting and alluring
yeah.
for
So I
sure.
I love the fact that people are starting their own business. They want that autonomy. They want to decide what to do and have the freedom and flexibility. Now, not everyone is going to start their own business, but
Hmm.
companies can be proactive about really making sure that their employees feel that they're CEOs of their career
Right.
by infusing that entrepreneurial mindset of like, okay, you are the CEO of your career. Let us, find a work within the company that really fits with your strength, show your value, and let's just all grow together instead
Yeah.
of the manager just dictating what you do and not do. Now for the second question that you asked, like if someone is working really hard, that is the number one mistake that we all make is we feel like if we work really hard, I'm doing everything that I'm told to do. I'm even going above and beyond in some things, and I expect them to recognize me. Well, great data does not speak for itself. Great
Right.
great work does not speak for itself.
Right. And I'm eager to hear your answer, but I thinking about how like that's how it works in your family and it's definitely how it works in the school system, and then you get into this corporate career and it doesn't work that way, and unless somebody writes a book to tell you how that's not working, you just get really demoralized and disenchanted with the American dream.
No, we learned the hard way. We learned the hard way, right? Like, so you think the numbers would show, oh my gosh, yeah, we can see that. Let's say you're in the sales department, your team and you have like doubled the sales numbers, or maybe you've increased your client base, whatever it is. You think the data is going to speak for itself, but you know what? Your boss, everyone is too busy with their own work that they may not notice. So
Hmm.
you actually have to know that data results don't speak for themselves and that you have to proactively show what you're accomplishing. Number two is like people might be working so hard and working on a project. The thing is that project really a strategic project for the company?
Mm.
So sometimes I say, okay, you have to go to the company's shoes or your boss's shoes and mine to think, is this aligning? Is what I'm adding also something that is valued at the company? How am I in alignment with what we're working towards? And so
Mm.
sometimes we think and define our work with like what we're currently doing. But a good question to ask is how is what I'm doing right now adding value to the company and also to your manager? And the other thing is no, and this happens to I would say to a lot of women mostly, but also to men, is we have a wrong, well, I'm gonna say self-erasure in the name of humility.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't want to say I did this or that. I think we're all grew up with the value of humility, and that's such an amazing value to have.
And perfectionism,
Perfectionism too.
right? Like if it wasn't 100% perfect, like won't even send in your resume
Yeah,
if you only have 6 of the 7 requirements,
exactly.
where some dude has 3 and he's like, oh yeah, I got this job.
I got it. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, there was actually a study that conducted and shows that men would apply if they have like 60%, I guess, and then women would have 80% and they would say, no, I'm looking the.
Right.
But even within the company, sometimes when you're told, oh, you've done an amazing job, Wendy, at this thing, sometimes we'll say, oh, that was just my job. Or because if you're a perfectionist, you know the things that could have gone better. You say,
Right.
we could have done better. And you're just like really undermining yourself and accomplishments
Mm-hmm.
in the name of humility.
Right.
But I think a very great definition, actually a quote by C.S. Lewis, you might he said humility is not thinking less of yourself, is thinking less of yourself. So don't obsess about thinking about yourself, but it doesn't mean that you don't think you're great.
I love that.
I love that. And that was like a quote I would always go back to.
Right.
And know that you're amazing, but don't obsess about that. Just like anytime we think about ourselves, it's always gonna get in the way. Whether it means like, oh, I don't want to do this or that, or we're always saying maybe who am I to get this? I'm not even qualified. I don't have this. So it means that you're thinking about yourself too much. Just drop that and thinking about your why, the impact that you're creating, and you know what you'll be able to add to to share and create an impact that you want to create, and without dismissing or erasing yourself.
Oh, it's such brilliant work. I'm so excited. Please tell everybody. I've already have 3 people in mind for this book, so thank you for writing it. Super excited. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can get their hands on the books, all the things that you want us to know.
I appreciate that. The company is business to business. So like I told you, like we work with businesses to train their leaders and managers. But for anyone who wants to get the book, it's on Amazon. It's called The Art of Managing Up, a step-by-step guide to help you become the CEO of your career. And anyone can follow me I'm on all social media, but I tend to be more active on LinkedIn.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for this conversation. I have loved it and I so appreciate your time.
Yeah, likewise. Enjoyed the conversation. Enjoyed all of the stories that you shared.
I love the way you're saying yes to yourself.
Oh, likewise.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.